Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the 11th Annual Women of Valor. I'm Todd Salovey, the Associate Artistic Director of San Diego Repertory Theater and the Artistic Director of the Lipinski Family San Diego Jewish Arts Festival.
And my name is Ali Viterbi, and I'm the Associate Producer of the festival and the Director and Co-Writer of Women of Valor, along with writers Todd Salovey, Leah Salovey, Sarah Price Keating, and JFest Assistant Producer Becca Myers.
Each year, for the past 11 years, Women of Valor has honored and profiled remarkable women who are pillars of the San Diego Jewish community.
In every production, we tell stories of strength and inspiration in order to create a portrait of the resilience of our communities. And in a time of isolation, we feel that these stories are more essential than ever.
So it is our honor to share this year's selected Women of Valor. Anti-Defamation League Regional Director, Tammy Gillies, Chair of the San Diego Jewish Academy, Heidi Gantwerk, Chief Impact Officer at the Jewish Community Foundation, Charlene Wallach, Rebbetzin Chaya Ertel, Jewish Community Foundation Board Chair, Janet Ashetel, and Holocaust survivor, Pearl Recht.
Still told with stories, images, and music, 6 incredible actresses will tell the story of 6 incredible women, all digitally. Over the next 2 weeks, we will release the videos one at a time, honoring one of our Women of Valor.
Every year, we donate all the ticket proceeds of Women of Valor to Jewish charities in San Diego. This year, our beneficiaries are the 3 Jewish high schools, Torah High, Sky High, and the San Diego Jewish Academy, as well as the San Diego Jewish Community COVID-19 Emergency Fund. You can donate generously by clicking on the link at the end of this video.
We began this project with the hope of sharing some of the remarkable and often unknown stories of the women in our community with our community. But we never anticipated that this would turn into an 11-year-long labor of love.
Through working with the women and through you, our audience, we've really built a true community over the years.
And that's really what the Jewish Arts Festival and the arts in general is all about. Creating community, feeling less alone, and seeking inspiration.
This year's honorees teach us how we can be together, even virtually, in community. And we hope that through hearing their stories of joy, of grief, of commitment to their community, and of courage, we can all weather this storm together. Tonight, we honor Tammy Gillies. Thank you so much for watching, and please enjoy A Woman of Valor.
ורחק מפנינים מקרא פתח בלב בלה ושלה לא יצר גמלה טוב ולא רע כל ימי חייה דרשת צמר ופשתים ותח בחפץ גביה היסקני עוד זוכר, ממרחק תביא לחמה, חגרה בעוז מתניה, ותאמץ זרעתיה.
A woman of valor, who shall find?
She is more precious than pearls.
She seeks out wool and flax and cheerfully does the work of her hands.
She is like trading ships, bringing food from afar.
She gets up while it is still night to provide for her household.
She invests herself with strength, and her arms are powerful.
She opens up her hands to the poor and reaches out to the needy.
Eshet Chayil Miimsa, a woman of valor, who shall find?
This is KUSI San Diego. Joining us via Zoom from the Anti-Defamation League, I have the San Diego Regional Director, Tammy Gillies.
It's not surprising that even during these challenging times, we see people emboldened to express hate. When we revisit our history, we know that when there's a time of crisis, people are always looking for a scapegoat, but we are here for the community 24/7. I think I have the greatest job in the world. I work probably too much, but I don't think of my work as a job. I've been at the ADL for 13 years, and for me, it's a calling. This is where I belong. It's full circle from my grandfathers. I had two grandfathers who really helped me get to who I am today. My mother's dad was the only of my grandparents born in America. I grew up in Long Island, New York. And of course, as all good Jewish grandparents do, he retired and he moved to South Florida because of the rule. You move from New York down to Miami. In Florida, he was very involved with B'nai B'rith, which founded the ADL. He used to play poker, as also all good Jewish grandfathers did. And at the end of every game, all the men would put in a small amount of money, and twice a year, they would send it off to B'nai B'rith. Never a lot of money, just a portion of their card game. But learning about tzedakah and always making sure that you're giving back, that I got from my grandfather. My other grandfather, my dad's dad, came over here during the Great Pogrom. And he never Americanized. Until the day he died, he used to read the foreword in Yiddish every day. He called it the Vorworts. He never got an education, but he worked and worked. And this work ethic, I really got from him. So from my two grandfathers, I think I learned about how to be a real mensch in your community and not forget your heritage. When I was 12 years old, my Americanized grandfather said to me, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" Of course, obviously, I want to be a rabbi. The whole table laughed because you couldn't be a rabbi as a woman in those days, but I had no idea. I wanted to be in the Jewish community. I wanted to help people. And actually, when I got the regional director job at ADL, there were a number of men on the board that did not vote for me to get this job because for 30 years, there had been a man in that job. Somebody actually said, "I can't see Tammy standing with a megaphone and shouting down a hater." They thought I was too nice, too soft because I was a woman. I may not do it the same way that a man would, but I believe I do it through quiet strength, through diplomacy, through respecting others. When you're in New York and Florida, it's very easy to be Jewish. It's a natural thing. So when we moved out to California, I called a realtor and said, "I want to look at houses in the Jewish community." And she said, "Tammy, it's not like that here. There's not a Jew on every corner." I really struggled to find my Jewish community here in San Diego. The first day of my daughter's school, she comes home with a flyer for the Teacher Appreciation Barbecue. It's on Yom Kippur. I'm like, clearly this is a typo. So I call the principal of the school and she said, "Oh, I have a neighbor who's Jewish and they send their children to a Jewish school. That might be a good choice." True story. So I called the Jewish Academy and I literally was crying. "I know school already started, but any chance you have room for one first grader?" We went to the Jewish Academy and started to find our community that way. Somebody there said to me, "You should go work for Federation." And I did. Then I went to the Agency for Jewish Education and then ADL, so I just went down this Jewish path. My husband was not Jewish. That was a very big challenge for me. When I had my baby naming for my second daughter, they wouldn't let my husband come up on the bima. I had to do it by myself. We couldn't be married by a rabbi. It all felt terrible in those days. My husband actually just became Jewish in December after all these years. He's now a member of the tribe. But it impacted me in the way I work at ADL with our young leadership. ADL works for the Jewish community and the whole community. I really wanted to make it a welcoming space because I never had that. I always felt a little bit pushed out. A board member would always say to me, we stand up for everybody else. How do we know they'll stand up for us? I would say, we just have to take it on faith that we're an ally and hope that they'll be an ally for us. And then when the shooting in Poway happened, when I got to the command center, I saw the chief, the sheriff, and our FBI special agent. And I thought they were actually going to cry. None of them being Jewish, but I could see the pain in their eyes that this happened. And the superintendent of Poway called us to say, the students all want to wear blue to support the Jewish community. And the bishop and the imam, all these people called to say, how do we stand and support your community? That made me feel like so much of the work we'd done over the years really mattered. I remember that Saturday morning. The first phone call I got was the sheriff. There's been a shooting. And I was like, where? Because literally almost every Sunday before I would get a call like that. Did you see the shooting? Where is it? Oh, Christ Church. There was so much hate going on. But I get this call and it was here in Poway. Couldn't believe it. They had set up a huge command center. They put people at every synagogue. And we determined that the shooter was the same person that had done the arson at the mosque. So I said, you have to have somebody at every mosque because they're going to be afraid too. We can't just care about ourselves. I spent the whole day at the rabbi's house. That changed me a lot as a person. I walked into the house to the area where the women were, and one of the women said to me, ADL, we're so happy that you're here. We were hoping you would come. My grandfather that came from the shtetl, if he could see me. I take a group of law enforcement to Israel every year. In his life, they would never call law enforcement to help. Law enforcement were the people that were coming into their town to kill them. So for him to be able to see his granddaughter in Israel, I just think he would be amazed. I think my biggest test is now I'm emotional. My mom struggled with Alzheimer's. My mom and dad moved out to California to live with us as my mom was moving into her disease. We took care of my mom for 5 years. She was a very strong woman. She had her own business her whole life. She owned a gift shop. She worked 6 days a week, and she never complained a day in her life. She never said, I'm so tired. I mean, I come home and I'm like, I'm so tired. She never complained. And if you came in for a $3 gift, she would treat you the same way as if you were coming in to buy a $500 vase. Everybody was the same to her. And I actually tell my staff the same thing today. I say the person that calls you and donates $10 to ADL, you need to treat them the same way that you would the person that's giving you $10,000. So I think the biggest test in my life was, how do I care for my mom and retain my sanity and care for my kids? I was honored to be with her and take care of her until she took her last breath. I went to Minyan every morning after my mom passed away for a year, and then I thought, I have to pay it forward. Because what if the next person needs to have a Minyan? How do I walk away? So I go every morning, and now we do it online. Before, I think I kind of took it for granted, but I'm so much more appreciative now in the time of COVID to see everyone there. I find strength through community and in changing lives. In the nonprofit world, you say you're either saving lives or changing lives. So we're changing lives. Sometimes I feel like, there's so many haters in the world. What is going on with people? But then I go out to see a No Place for Hate program in a school, and I think, yes, there's the future. You can't legislate yourself out of hate. That's just the short term. But in the long run, educating the next generation to be better and do better. That is what keeps me going. We have to wake up every day believing we can change hearts and minds, and if you do that, you can do your job really well. It's very challenging when your work is about fighting hate. You have to take every little victory. For me, that's being able to get on the news and educate people. It's being able to speak out and shine a light on the haters. Because if you don't, that hate just grows in the darkness. This is what drives me.
Tammy, one last thing. What is one thing that all San Diegans can do to come together as one?
You can stand up and speak up. We hope the San Diego community will come together and reaffirm that San Diego is no place for hate.
רבות בנות עשו חיל והטלית על כולנה.
When I think about women of valor, it's something that I aspire to, but I don't have any thoughts that I'm there.
My response initially was, why would you want to include me?
Me too. But we're all quarantined, so we can all be who we want to be right now. So yeah, my alter ego is a woman of valor.
I think we need an updated version of Eshet Chayil because it's a little like you make the home, you make the food. I am not that woman. I never cook. My family runs away if I try to cook something.
Yes, if you really take the translation as it's intended, you will hate it. Because if you actually read the poem, you're like, no, I do not want to serve my husband all day. But I do like the recognition that a woman of valor is someone who is willing to put others before themselves.
Well, you think of others, but you also have to think of yourself.
Yes, it's not about being a martyr. It's about eyes wide open self-sacrifice. That other is oftentimes more important than self, but not in a way that diminishes self.
The Talmud asks, is it more important to study Torah or is it more important to live Torah? So a woman of valor is someone who tries to live the values of our traditions and our teachings every day.
A woman of valor doesn't walk away if she sees somebody in the street and they need help. She goes over and gives them a hand.